Are you doing this fine day? Me, wishing that Zinedine Zidane still played football, that Elvis was still making football, or still making music rather, and that comedians were still funny. Thanks for asking anyway. We've got a packed show for you today, so let's roll that intro. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. It's Tuesday, the 3rd of August, and as that guy just said, welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, the unstoppable rise of the high rise. Construction workload rises are hampered by material shortages. Teesworks demolition has hit an important milestone, and there's an opportunity for a demolition company to go to Cambridge, although not in the educational sense. If you've got any comments or questions about these subjects or anything else, then please just leave them in the chat and I will get to them by the end of the show. But first, let's check out which celebrities will be blowing out the candles and eating cake today.
Happy birthday!
And it's many happy returns to crooner, Mr. Tony Bennett, to the late great Terry Wogan, and to actor Martin Sheen. Happy birthday also to Argentinian footballer Ozzy Ardiles, to gravel-voiced Metallica frontman James Hetfield, and to the New England Patriots' favourite son, quarterback Tom Brady. Happy birthday to each and every one of them. Oh, and a big shout out to our friends over at UK Demolition Jobs. They generally join the show live, but they're in meetings today. But don't let that stop you checking out the latest job vacancies over at ukdemolitionjobs.co.uk. I've been on the website this morning, and I can tell you there's fantastic selection of job opportunities over there for demolition operatives, demolition supervisors, plant and crusher operators, and site managers as well. So go take a look and potentially find your next role. The combined forces of Brexit and a global pandemic may have impacted the UK construction and demolition industries, but the pipeline of high-rise buildings across the UK remains strong, with around 549 in the development pipeline. Of those, around 58% are in London. Interestingly, although they represent just over half of all the high rises in the pipeline, projects in London account for more than 3/4 of the total pipeline value. The construction of high rise buildings has increased considerably in recent years, with a rise in both the number and height of buildings being constructed. According to the AMA Research High Rise Construction Market Report, which is UK 2021 to 2025, there are 1,277 existing high rise buildings and structures that are at least 50 metres tall, and 266 that are at least 75 metres tall across the UK. The vast majority of those are in London, but other key locations include Birmingham and Manchester. Unlike other international cities, London is still considered a low rise for a global city and a financial capital of the world. In fact, the UK has just 31 high rise buildings over 150 metres high, almost half of which have been completed since 2018, and just one building, the Shard in London, that stands over 300 metres tall. Uncertainties surrounding the outcome of Brexit had contributed to a slowdown of speculative new office building in recent years, but industry sources suggest that investor confidence remains high in the London office market, and there are proposals for more high-rise schemes in the city and at Canary Wharf. In both the UK and across the world, there's been a big rise in the number of residential towers, as well as a significant increase in mixed-use towers. Just 15 years ago, towers were predominantly built for the commercial office market, but they now make up just 3% of projects in the current development pipeline. Alex Blagden, a research analyst at AMA Research, says historically, high-rise construction has been driven by demand for offices in the City of London, London Docklands, and central Manchester. Since 2010, however, there has been a marked shift towards high-rise residential schemes. In recent years, there's also been a marked increase in the development of high-rise residential towers in the larger northern cities and in Birmingham, largely driven by investment in private rental and student accommodation schemes. Over the medium term, high-rise construction will become more spread out across the UK. While London, Manchester, Salford, and Birmingham will still be important locations of high-rise construction, other cities are emerging as major centres of high-rise building activity, especially Leeds, Glasgow, and Sheffield. What does that mean for the demolition industry? Well, all our major cities are pretty much full now, and the erection of any new high-rise will also almost certainly require some form of demolition to clear a path, which is great news, obviously, for the demolition industry of today. But is it good news for the demolition industry of the future? And that's a subject we've discussed in the past. In fact, there is actually a demolition news publication on this very subject. You can find a link to that publication in the chat. I'll also add it to the description when we upload this, the recorded version later. Industry experts remain concerned that the developers behind the high-rise structures currently under construction have given little or no thought to how they might be demolished when they reach the end of their viable life. But for now, the continued demand for high-rise buildings will fuel continued demand for city centre demolition work. So no bad news there.
The Miller GT series heralds a new era of unrivaled power and cutting-edge intelligent coupler technology, increasing job site safety, machine versatility, and productivity. It's the added versatility that you need at the value you can afford. To find out more, visit millergroundbreaking.com.
Builders' workloads are at their highest level for 10 years. That's the key finding of the latest survey from the Federation of Master Builders. The rise in workloads is, however, matched by steep increases in materials prices and a growing struggle to secure labour, especially carpenters and bricklayers. This is causing a perfect storm for building work, according to the Federation. According to the FMB survey, workloads, inquiries and employment all grew in the period April to June 2021, with workload and inquiry levels at their highest point for a decade. But it's not all good news. 53% of respondents are struggling to hire carpenters and joiners, and that's up from 23% just 6 months ago. 47% are struggling to hire bricklayers, up from 22% in the fourth quarter of last year. And 98% of respondents say they are facing material price rises, and 80% say they have been forced to raise their prices in the past quarter. Brian Berry, Chief Executive of the FMB, says the FMB State of Trade survey tells a tale of extremes. While it's brilliant to see small local building companies and sole traders bouncing back from the difficulties of 2020, record workloads and inquiries are bringing significant challenges. An extraordinary 98% of small builders now face rising prices for building materials, with the same number expecting this to continue into the autumn. Half of those who responded to our survey are struggling to find a carpenter or a bricklayer. Without these fundamental inputs, how can Britain actually build back better? To address the skills crisis so starkly presented by this new data, industry efforts to encourage more people into construction must be supported by the spending review with further investment in colleges. It's the largest brownfield development in Europe and the largest demolition project here in the UK. And work at the former Teesworks steelworks up in Redcar reached an important milestone yesterday. If you've been following the developments at Teesworks, you will know that it's being backed and supported by local Mayor Ben Houchen. And yesterday, Ben Houchen was there to witness the latest stage of demolition. And this is his video from the day.
Hi everyone, I'm here on the Redcar Steelworks site, the Teesworks site, and behind me, for those of the people that have worked on this site before or know it well, you'll see that we're outside the Redcar blast furnace. This is the main charge conveyor that goes all the way up to the top of the blast furnace, and we've started today to demolish the blast furnace, which is going to be a bittersweet day for a lot of people, but hopefully for a lot of people, it'll also be one of hope. Hope that we can start to move on with this site, bring more jobs, more investment, and actually bring jobs to a site that have served our community for decades and decades. And it was a sad day in 2015 when 3,000 people lost their jobs. Local communities were devastated by the closure of the steelworks, but we now need to move forward to the future. We need to protect what's going to come, and with the GE factory being built in October, with the thousands of construction jobs that are coming, the new key and more investment, we need to clear the way so that as we establish this as the UK's largest free port, we get more jobs and more investment on site. So yes, a difficult day for many, but one that people can hopefully look to as a great starting point for the future, where we create the tens of thousands of jobs that local people need and deserve. And yes, people often forget that we've focused quite heavily in recent weeks, as the media have, on the blast furnace, but this is about so much more than just Redcar blast furnace. You've got the Boss plant behind me, you've obviously just seen the chimney come over, there's work going on at South Bank, there's work going on the Sinter plant, and this is now about making progress. Yes, like I said before, it's a sad day for a lot of people who will look back and think about what we used to have, but we've got to look to the future about what we will have. We're going to have new, good quality, well-paid manufacturing jobs of the future. This is paving the way for that, and this gives hope and opportunity, not just to everybody out there, but for generations to come. That's what I was elected to do. That's what I will focus on, creating investment and jobs for local people. And here's to a brighter future for the people of Teesside, Darlington and Hartlepool.
It's great to see progress being made on that landmark project. It's also great to see that important element of demolition being tackled by a local company, Thompson's and Prodo. The job is in very safe hands with those guys. As if Cambridge didn't already have enough educational facilities. According to the research team over at the Builders Conference, Ipswich-based Barnes Construction has been given the nod on a £4 million new build college at St John's Street in the town, or the city, should I say. That project will require the demolition of the buttery and dining room that currently sit on the site. At the time of broadcast, a demolition contractor has yet to be appointed. You can find out more about this project lead and many more just like it over at buildersconference.co.uk.
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or, better still, share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right, back to Beardy.
I will roll the outro in just a second, and then I'll hop over into the chat to see what everyone's got to say for themselves. But before I do so, just a couple of very quick points. I missed it at the time, but the BBC Oxford carried a piece on the ongoing fight for justice over the Didcot disaster. If you'd like to read it, I've posted a link in the chat, which you can find, I think it's right at the very top of the chat. I will put that in the description as well once the recorded version of the show goes up and out. I will be back here, same time, same place on the morrow for more of this old stuff and nonsense. Oh, incidentally, having just received a nice little payment from the fine folks at Instagram for my previous live stream activities over there, I'm planning to restart my No Agenda show on the platform at 12 noon, that's UK time, tomorrow. As the name suggests, there is to be no script, no set subject, and of course, no agenda. One of the things that I want to make clear from the outset is the fact that, given the nature of the sort of things I want to discuss over there, it's my intention to not actually record any of these shows. So once the live stream is over, that discussion will disappear forever. And it's my hope that that will allow us all to speak just a little more freely than perhaps we might if we were being recorded and broadcast to the watching world. So yeah, 12 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Immediately afternoon, in fact, and I'll be over on Instagram, which is demolition_news. Until then, have a great day, stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends and your colleagues, and thanks for watching. I'll hop over into the chat straight after this.